Motor, J Motor, J Motor, J Motor, recognize Heckler House, Heckler House. Oh, 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 oh.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now, this week there wasn't anything really going on major except for the whole Elon Musk taking over Twitter and the lefties throwing a baby fit about it and them getting mad. And it's like the whole thing when they said they were going to go to Canada when Trump decided to take over for presidency, and they never did. Same thing with Twitter. I think you had like 2 or 3 celebrities that may have left, but they're basically sticking around to see what happens. They're not really going to leave. But anyways, there's a whole drama crap from the lefties. You know, if they're worried about communism, you know, they're all for communism. They should go live in China and see how they like it over there. The only reason they get to complain and bitch and moan is because over here we believe in freedom. And that's what Elon Musk is trying to bring back to the platform. So both sides could have debates over or arguments. You know, it's not an echo chamber of just the lefties. Anyways, what I really want to talk about to you this week is I just got done watching a few days ago the new Black Adam movie. Now, there are some things that are questionable that needs to be answered. I know this is supposed to be like a soft reboot of the DCEU or whatever. Cinematic universe, but most of it is, you know, it all has to do pertain to The Rock, you know, or Dwayne Johnson. You know, he wanted this. He's always wanted to play the Black Adam character. Now, when it comes to the character itself, there are a ton of different backstories over the years that's been done for the character, and they basically went with one that wasn't to where he was just completely evil, which most of the time, most of his backstories throughout the years have had Black Adam as like this seriously evil character, you know, like he don't give a shit about anybody but himself. The original story, which I like the way, you know, he's supposed to come back 5,000 years, is he's sent off into space, and then it takes him 5,000 years to get back to Earth. And of course he's pissed at the wizard for, you know, sending him away. Now, originally, Shazam was basically based upon, you know, the Greek gods. They kept that for Captain Marvel or Billy Baxton, Shazam. They changed the backstory to Black Adam, as the gods are now Egyptian gods. Shazam stands for a synonym for the 7 Egyptian gods or whatever, which also is the 7 wizards who gave him his power. But again, I understand that they torqued it a little bit to where he's not really a good guy, but he's not a bad guy either. He's kind of like in the middle. He's in a gray area. You know, he kills bad guys, sort of thing. You know, he doesn't try to hurt the innocent, but he's gonna kill bad guys, and you see him do that in the movie with the mercenaries. Where the mercenaries come from, nothing's explained. They just show up, and now they're in control of a country, blah blah blah, and nobody's done anything about it. And then the JSA come in, and they're telling him how the country should be ran and blah blah blah, and they're like, excuse, where the hell have you been? We've been, these mercenaries have taken over for a number of years, and you guys haven't done shit. Now you're gonna come in here and tell us what to fucking do? But basically, a lot of the JSA characters' backgrounds, they've all been changed as well. Hawkman, I think they're intermixing some of the backstory of Hawkman. The two main ones is one, he's from like a planet called Thandoria or something like that. This was done in the Silver Age. He's a cop there or some shit, and he comes to Earth for some reason. He's connected to the nth metal, which they all, I don't care what superhero movie it is, they all have some type of mineral or metal that's mythical in all these stories. But his is the nth metal. He's connected to it because supposedly it comes from his home planet, Thandoria, or whatever the fuck it's called. But they're also intermixing the fact that he's from Egypt in the original Golden Age version. He's from Egypt. Him and Hawk Girl both are. He's a prince and she's like a princess, and they're supposed to be lovers or be thrown to each other or whatever. But this evil wizard curses them, and they're supposed to be separated every time they die and try to find each other again through their reincarnation. Now, this is like the 5th reincarnation that he's in the movie, so I don't know where that all plays at. But they don't go into his background story, really. Now, there is a background story between him and Dr. Fate being good friends, but again, they don't delve too deep into it, so you don't really know their history together, and you're supposed to feel for the character, especially when Dr. Fate supposedly dies. But how can you? You don't really know anything about him. The other thing is, they changed the story, of course, of Dr. Fate. He's being played by the original Dr. Fate, Brent Nelson or whatever. But in the comics, his backstory has changed many times, and many other characters, many other people, in other words, have donned the title of Dr. Fate, and the helmet and the ankh and the cape and the medallion, all that shit. Now, supposedly, after he dies, Brent dies, his grandson is the one who's supposed to get the helmet. There's also a version where the helmet, is a deity, sort of. It has some old ass spirit that lives in it. I don't know. It's like sentient or some shit. But like I said, there's several different background stories, so I don't know exactly where they're going with that one. Now, the two newbies, Cyclone and Atom Smasher, in the movie, Henry Winkler is supposed to be the original Atom. Now, the original Atom had no powers. He was just like this big fighter or whatever, wrestler, taekwondo, martial artist or whatever. I thought it was kind of a joke that they used Henry Winkler as the original Atom, because he's really a scrawny looking dude, so it was just kind of funny. Now, the kid calls him his uncle, but in the comics, he's no relation to him. the JSA just kind of adopts the kid because his grandfather was a villain of the JSA. His name was Cyclonic or some crap like that, Cyconic or some shit like that. Anyways, he had the power as a metahuman to shrink and grow, like the Atom Smasher. That's where he gets his power. He inherited it. Now the original Atom, like I said, had no powers, but then came Ray Palmer, who creates a suit that allows him to grow and shrink, and he becomes the Atom from that point forward. There's no mention of him in the movie. Cyclone is actually the granddaughter of the original Red Tornado, which her name was Ma something, Hunkler or some shit like that. Anyway, she had no power. She was just a big woman who went around beating criminals with like frying pans and shit like that, and donned a suit that said Red Tornado on it. She became the JSA's caretaker. She took care of the mansion and all that shit eventually when she retired. But her granddaughter was, there was an evil scientist, a mad scientist, who was an enemy of the JSA, and he kidnapped the granddaughter when she was really young and put nanobites in her, which gave her powers to bend air, so she became Cyclone. Now, in the comic, she's a redhead, and she's a white redheaded girl, so I don't know why they not gender swap, but I don't know what Hollywood has with redheads, or gingers, but they continually, try to swap them out for a black girl. So it makes no sense why they did that. But anyways, whatever. It's retarded. I don't know why they did it. But yeah, she's the granddaughter of her, and that's how she got her powers, is because of the evil side when she was really young. Now, the second Red Tornado was an android. The actual Red Tornado. He's an android who eventually becomes sentient and joins the JSA. He was built by the mad scientist, but the android turned on him and joined the JSA. Anyways, like I said, I don't know what to do. You have to expect them to twerk and change. They like to rewrite all the original stories when they do movie adaptations of these characters. I don't know why they do that. Most people have not heard the original stories, so why they think they can rewrite and do it better is beyond me, because it's never really that good as the original story. But anyways, whatever. The movie was alright. It wasn't bad. It was what you expect from a superhero movie. Yes, I've heard that it uses tropes and shit, from other superhero movies. But, as long as it didn't have a whole shit ton of political woke nonsense in it, I'm okay with it. It was alright. It wasn't bad. Now, where do they go from here? I don't know. Because they're introducing Superman before the Justice League or whatever assembles, supposedly. They're going in a whole different direction with the Justice League. They're rebooting the whole Justice League thing, supposedly. So we'll see where we go with that, because it makes no sense that they're doing that when they're going to go ahead and do the Flashpoint movie, The Flash, and the whole, Ezra Miller debacle and crap. I don't know what all they're going to do. They're changing everything, because Warner Brothers got a new CEO, and he's shaking things up. We'll see what happens. But they're going in a different direction than the Snyder shit, which is fine by me. Anyways, another thing is they don't explain the whole Amanda Wallace crap. Why is she in control of everybody now and running things? I know she's a part of Argus. Why they don't mention Storm in this, I don't know. You would think they would go with Storm instead of Argus, because Argus is just U.S. government, but they make it to where Amanda Wallace is running the entire world crap, which makes no sense. So I don't know where they're going with that. We'll see. But 2 thumbs up. The movie was great. It was good. It wasn't bad. I think they could have done better, honestly, but for what it wasn't bad. It's a lot better than what the shit they've been putting out lately, especially Marvel. So anyways, I'm glad DC's going a different direction than the whole woke crap. We'll see how it all turns out. Let's move on to your B-movie reviews. Okay, movieaholics, this is the end of Horror Month. So, last 2 horror flicks for this month. Now, I was going to finish up the whole Puppet Master series, but unfortunately, the new Puppet Master movie, Dr. Death, has not been out very long at all. I mean, it just came out like a few days ago. They just released it. So I kind of have to wait until I can do that one. But the first one is, of course, it's kind of like a spin-off, they say, but honestly, it just feels the same to me. And it's called Blade, the Iron Cross. Now, this story, it mostly focuses on Blade. It don't really show the other puppets except for in the trunk. Blade's the only one who's actually moving around. Now, this is kind of a continuation from the last few films, because you have the daughter who's the psychic from the little dwarf guy who was the doctor psychic or whatever from the last film. Now, she's in it, but she's the only returning cast member. Now, for whatever reason, she is a reporter now, even though she's supposedly from Russia. She has become a reporter. There's a detective involved that's, he's kind of suspicious of her, because she keeps having these dreams, and then she shows up to a crime scene after these psychic dreams. He doesn't know she's psychic at first. He don't find out till later on. But she knows there's something going on, that there's a group that are like Nazi infiltrators over here in America, and she's kind of like tracking them down with with the newspaper, being a press. There is a photographer who follows her around. They're like good friends. And there's this other lady, a Spanish girl, which they later find out is working with the Nazis, and she's been spying on her and her stories and trying to figure out what she knows. Now, the doll Blade has limited movement until she tells the doll, you can use my bioenergy to move around. So she forms like this psychic connection with the doll Blade, or the puppet Blade. So Blade now can move around. Because the formula is about gone. There's hardly any formula left. Now there's another evil doctor that's working for the Nazis. He's trying to steal the formula. The writing script or whatever that is the formula that no one can cipher. No one knows how to read it, kind of shit, blah blah blah. But he's trying to get the formula so he can perfect the formula so that the Nazis can use it to bring back the dead for soldiers, dead soldiers. Now, there's a couple other guys involved. One's actually working for the police department, and you have another guy who's working direct in communication with the SS, who's overseeing the project of this doctor, and then you have the two thugs or whatever for the Nazis. Anyways, all in all, they try to extract the information from, the psychic daughter, girl, or whatever, and they can't do it. Blade comes in, screws up their plans. Supposedly he destroys the puppet, the doctor, the evil doctor does, but it doesn't work. Somehow Blade reforms. I don't know. It makes no sense how he turns him to dust with a hammer, and then all of a sudden he's back together again. It makes no sense, but whatever. Anyways, they stop the mad scientist's plans to turn everybody into zombies and his own army he can control, kind of bullshit. And all ends well, except for the daughter runs out of formula, but now she's the keeper of the puppets, and that's the end of the movie. I don't know. It was okay for what it was. I think it could have been better. The acting was alright. It wasn't horrible, but the story was kind of lame. The Nazi stuff is kind of getting old. But it's still in the correct time, era, or whatever. Is in the 40s. But the Nazi stuff's getting old. So I don't know. We'll see what this new Dr. Death, when it comes out, what it's like. I give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. You don't have to watch it. It's more of a, do I highly recommend it? No. It's more of, how much of a horror buff you are, and if you're into the Puppet Master series. Okay, moving on. Since we don't have Dr. Death, I decided to watch another type of puppet movie. This movie was done in 2007, whereas the Blade was done in 2020. This movie made about 22 million worldwide, and it was called Dead Silence. Now, this starred Ryan, Waiton, and Amber Valletta, and of course it also had Donnie Wahlberg in it.
Jamie?
Now Donnie's an okay actor, but I prefer Mark over him. Mark's just a better actor. But the acting was okay in this movie. It wasn't that bad. It was pretty decent. The story is you have this.
There's an old ghost story around
This
here about a
woman
woman named Mary Shaw.
who was a
ventriloquist
ventriloquist in the.
Back when I was a boy, a little boy,
it was in the
went
40s
missing.
or 50s, somewhere
There was
around
only
there.
ever one suspect, Mary Shaw.
Who went to this town called
She was murdered.
The men cut out her tongue.
Raven Cliff or some shit like that. I can't
And
remember.
this
It was
town
Raven
has been
something.
plagued by
Cliffside
death
or
ever
something like
since.
that. Is the name of the
Families
town.
found without
Anyways,
their tongues.
it was a booming town at that period of time. Now
She
this
was buried
woman
with her doll
named
collection.
Mary Shaw,
The children.
she created puppets, and she was a ventriloquist, and she would perform in this theater that was there in the town.
They came back. They didn't stay dead.
A boy ends up missing, and the townsfolk blame her for whatever reason, because they got in a little spat where he was saying that he could see her lips moving.
Beware the stare
she's
of
just,
Mary Shaw.
You know,
She
whatever,
had no
blah, blah,
children,
blah.
only
Shut up.
dolls.
But for some odd reason, the whole town
If you
blames
see
her.
her, do not scream,
So they kind of took
or she'll rip your tongue out.
justice
At
in
the
their own
scene.
hands. Went and cut her tongue out, and then they buried her or burned her or some shit. I can't remember. Anyway, she died. The towns killed her. And she said she would exact revenge on him. Now, in her will, she asked that she be buried.
Jamie?
And that a puppet be made just like her. And that all her 101 puppets be buried with her. And they were. Moved to present day. And this guy receives this package of a doll. His wife ends up
There's
being
an old
killed,
ghost
her
story
tongue
around
cut
here about a
out.
woman named Mary Shaw.
The
He remembers
ventriloquist
the
who
old
lost a
stories.
voice. Back when I was a boy, the little boy
He always
went
thought they were
missing.
just
There was
scary
only ever one
tales that
suspect,
they
Mary
told
Shaw.
their children. Blah, blah, blah. But apparently the whole town
was
knows
murdered.
about
The men cut
this
out her
scary
tongue.
thing. Only this town. Nobody
This
else.
town has been plagued by death ever since.
Donnie was chasing him
Families
down
found without
because
their tongues.
he's the cop on the case, or the detective on the case, trying to find out what happened to his wife.
She was buried with her doll collection.
And he's the number one
children,
suspect.
as
The
you
husband
call
is. Well, the husband, he goes to town to bury his
100 of
wife at the Raven side or Ravendale,
back.
or whatever it's
They
called,
didn't stay dead.
town. And he goes and talks to his dad. His dad's like on his fourth marriage, and she's like 20 years old, you know, and he's pretty much like 70 years old.
Beware the stare
The
of
kid's
Mary
like
Shaw.
whatever, you know,
She
blah,
had
blah,
no
blah.
children, only dolls.
I'm just here to bury him.
And if you
Him and
see
his
her,
dad
do not scream, or she'll rip your
he
tongue
finds
out
it weird
at the
that
scene.
this 20-year-old is now his stepmother kind of shit, and she's strange. Anyways, he talks to the funeral director, which knows all about Mary Shaw, blah blah blah, and his wife's kind of cuckoo about it. He explains to the kid what all happened, you know, how she was killed, and blah blah blah. So throughout the movie, he's trying to find out what actually is going on, and trying to figure out what actually happened to Mary Shaw, and blah blah blah. Don comes in, chases him to the theater, and starts hearing
There's an
crap
old ghost story
too.
around here about a
Supposedly
woman named
every
Mary Shaw.
time
The
Mary
ventriloquist
Shaw cuts out
lost
somebody's
her
tongue,
voice.
she steals their voice.
Back
So
when
she
I was a
can
boy,
imitate
a
him.
little boy went
So
missing.
now
There was only ever one
they're hearing
suspect,
shit and
Mary
he's
Shaw.
following them around in the theater.
She was murdered.
He ends up getting
The men
killed.
cut
His
out her
tongue
tongue.
takes. He burns all the
tongue
puppets. The
has
kid
been
burns all the
plagued by
puppets. Or the
death
husband,
ever since.
whatever. He burns all the
Families
puppets,
found
but
without
there's
their
one
tongues.
left that wasn't in the theater, and he's got to go track it down. And
She was buried
at
with her
the
doll
end,
collection.
He finds out his dad's
children,
been
as
turned
she called
into a
them.
puppet.
Somebody dug him up.
Whatever.
All 100 of them.
But the young woman who's pretending to be his wife
They came
is
back.
like a younger
They didn't
version
stay dead.
puppet of Mary Shaw. So she got her wish if someone would make a puppet for her, a living puppet, and she kills him. And that's the end of the movie. Now there's a couple of scenes in the movie that I was just like, whatever. Like there's this one scene where it shows this clown
And if you see her,
and
do
he
not
tells him
scream,
come closer, whisper something
or
in
she'll
his ear,
rip
and I'm
your
like,
tongue out
why would you
at the
go
scene.
near that fucking shit? That's just dumb. You're a retard. There's another one where he's walking on. The whole place is supposed to be abandoned, this theater. You know, there's cobwebs and shit like that. But there's still junk all in it, which makes no sense. But he's going to go walking on this fucking catwalk for no fucking reason. And it's like falling apart. And I'm like, what are you doing? Fuck that shit. You know you're going to fall from that, you dumbass. I don't know, it was stupid. But yeah, and the whole point is you can't scream or she'll kill you and take your tongue. So the only one to try to stop from screaming is the kid. Every time he hears something or she tries to attack him or some shit, he covers his mouth. But whatever. But anyways, the movie wasn't bad. The story wasn't really all that bad either, but I think they could have done a little bit better with it. Why there's not a sequel to this is beyond me, because they make sequels just about of everything anymore. It actually didn't do too bad, so I don't know why they didn't make a sequel. Like I said, it could have been done way better. I think the story could have been elaborated quite a bit better. I actually thought the ghost was actually a pretty cool ghost. The Mary Shaw ghost, it was actually pretty good. So I actually highly recommend this movie for a horror flick. 2 thumbs up. One of the better ones out there. Even though it had, you know, a few faults of itself, it wasn't that bad of a movie. It was actually pretty decent for a horror flick. Something different than the whole serial killer crap. I'm so sick of serial killing movies. It's just dumb. Like the new Terrifier movie. It's fucking retarded. It's dumb. I don't understand why people are liking that movie. It's so dumb. But anyways, whatever. Check it out. Dead Silence. Not bad. That's all I have for you this week. If you have any thoughts, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below of what I talked about earlier in the video. If you have any suggestions or movies you think I may never heard of, underrated movies, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below, and I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. Until then, I told you you'd be told the truth, and you've just been told.